right, we are here at ICT4D 2026. I'm going to start by having you introduce yourself here in the pop-up studio and tell us a little bit about your work.
Okay, my name's Anna. I'm Director of Partnerships at Rescue.co, and we are the largest provider of emergency medical services in East Africa. And we've just expanded into Southern Africa as well. And we're here at ICT4D because we're powered by our proprietary platform called Flare, which aggregates ambulances, other emergency service providers like roadside assistance, security vehicles, and more than 150 aircraft onto a platform so we can visualize where they are, track them, and then dispatch them to our members as quickly as we can. So we've brought response times in Nairobi down to 15 minutes for ambulance on the ground support. And we have rescued people off Mount Kenya, Mount Kilimanjaro, the Mara, so different holiday makers who come to Kenya and need some peace of mind can sign up to our services, and we'll come and get you out of trouble if you are on the wrong end of a safari-related mishap.
Can I ask, how do they find you? Is it really easy for a vacationer to come in and sort of know that are you somehow part of an aggregate service, like a travel insurance package they could sign up for?
Yeah, so we have different ways of reaching our customers. So you can sign up directly with us at rescue.co/safe travels. You can book as part of your holiday. So a lot of tour operators sign people up automatically onto
so
our
great.
service.
Yeah.
And otherwise, you can also be part of an insurance. So we work with big insurers like Cigna.
Yeah.
In Nairobi, we cover different clients like embassies and
so smart
firms. Yeah. So then if you're out and about, we can generally we know where those tourists are. So we know the lodges that they're at. We know where they're traveling. And then once we get a call either from the lodge or that tourist themselves, we can then work out the best way to get to you. So it could be a combination of ground, air.
Mm-hmm.
If you're on Mount Kenya, you need a helicopter. It will depend. We'll be in touch with you. We might ask for your GPS coordinates. We might just go on descriptions. Sometimes we do ground support where we need to use like satellite imagery and find like the closest church and go from there. We do a big maternal health program here in Nairobi.
Wow. Okay.
That obviously is either from facilities or from home rescues, and then you're going sort of deep into the nooks and crannies of Nairobi to try and find people at their homes.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Okay. Anna, you mentioned that you all are expanding. You said into Southern Africa. Did I hear that correctly?
Yeah.
Tell us, what are some of the things that are creating the most worry and concern right now? What are you wrestling with as a business, as a service provider? Clearly, it's an incredible model. It seems like you're having tremendous success, but is there anything that's coming to mind that you're wrestling with that you might want to share with folks?
Yeah, so our overarching ethos is that no matter who you are or where you are, you should have access to high quality emergency response in minutes. So for our tourist provider partners, for the companies that we work with, that's relatively straightforward. We can sign them up through our membership product. It's relatively low cost if you are of a sort of medium to high income or you're a business. What we really want to do is make sure that everybody has access to those high quality services. We believe that our tech really cuts some of the common challenges seen in national EMS systems. So that could be, for example, the fact that we pay per journey to our providers. We use a mix of private providers, faith-based providers, government providers, and we pay per trip. So hopefully that means that people can pay their teams, pay for their fuel, make sure their vehicles are maintained by equipment. So what we believe is that that's a very scalable model, but obviously if it's a purely membership-based model, some people are not going to be able to afford it. So what we're trying to do is build a blended model where we use our commercial arm to really grow the tourist business, hence why we're going down into Southern Africa where, your tourists in Zambia. We just did our first rescue in Zambia last weekend. Yeah.
Wow.
In South Africa and Botswana can then also have that peace of mind, but then also use that to build out services where we can reach low-income mothers. We do a lot of road traffic accidents here in Nairobi, and we don't want the first question for us to ask is not, are you a member? Our first question is on where you are, and then the second is what the case is. So we don't want our dispatch protocols to be influenced by that membership issue. So what we try and do is like blend a model that is commercial, Then we have philanthropic supporters. We have catalytic funding for research and for expansion for low-cost services. We want to work with telcos, with micro-insurers, with anybody who can help us access those lower income segments to make sure that really it's a service for everybody, not just for people who can afford the tourist products and the higher level memberships.
It's incredible. Yeah, especially thinking about how you're, in a way, trying to replace what, at least in the United States and other countries, already exists, that, you know, ambulance infrastructure, that rescue care, helicopter rescues, but it's not something that scales internationally or around the world as easily, as effectively, as certainly as far as cost is concerned. But it's a service that people are used to in some parts of the world and is absent in others. And it's an interesting sort of market gap that you're trying to fill with this blended model.
But I think what's universal is when you talk to people, everybody will have a story saying, my mum was in an accident, we called the ambulance, it took 4 hours to arrive, you know? And like everybody has that moment where you're in real trouble and you need to be able to call someone, and we don't believe that that should be based on your geography or where you are. So what we're trying to do is really build a service that's affordable, that's equitable, and that we can bring to as many people as we can. And that's kind of the work that we're constantly, especially like on the partnership side, on my side of the business, so to speak, is what I'm grappling with, is trying to get that to as many people as we can.
Well, it's a beautiful mission. We thank you so much for the work that you do, for joining us here at the conference, and we wish you a really successful next few days.
Thanks for having us.
All right, thanks so much, Anna.
Bye.
Okay.